All right, Waleed, is that you on? All right, so ramping up to the main event. I hate these preambles, like before the fights load up. It's just wasting my time. Like nobody cares about this stuff. Instead of talking about the fights, just show the fights. What fight are we on? Says Waleed. So the main event is just starting up, and the first fight on that is. Let me check. Is if the UFC site will load. Oh, Ankalaev versus Kutalaba. That's a big fight. That's a really good fight. Um, yeah, this is a rematch. I mean, of course, Ankalaev has already beaten Kutalaba. Um, advertising Arab money. Yeah, that's exactly why they have the preambles to get that sponsorship cash. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, first fight on the main card is Ankalaev versus Kutalaba. This is a rerun. Ankalaev has already beaten Kutalaba. Waleed and I on the podcast are putting this in the come. We predict another easy, relatively easy victory for Ankalaev. We actually did this prediction some time ago because it was scheduled several months ago. Then it got cancelled. But if I remember correctly, we liked the kicks from Ankalaev. We liked the striking generally, and we liked the superior ground game. They both got grappling backgrounds, but we think Ankalaev is better. And we think the Kutalaba is very dangerous in the first round. He's very explosive. He's got power, but then he kind of fizzles out. You know, when you expend that kind of energy, it's inevitable that you're going to slow down, and that's when Ankalaev is going to take over. And of course, Ankalaev can also finish him in the first round as well. You know, he's got that power, you know, and he's got really great kicks. In the first fight, he finished him with a head kick, and that could easily happen again. So Alexander says, "Come on, Ankalaev, you ugly bastard." He's not the most handsome man in the world, but he will fuck you up. Although anything can happen at this weight, it sure can. It sure can. I do quite like Kutalaba, man. He's very aggressive, very aggressive. Probably slightly unhinged. But I think Ankalaev's got this. Probably got this in the bag. Baba Yaga, let's go Ankalaev. Absolutely, absolutely. He's the better fighter. I feel. Yeah, so sorry about the live stream going down. This is the first time we've done this. I might have a slightly dodgy internet connection, so it dropped. So yeah, this is the first time we've done this. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Waleed on the live stream. You can only have one person on it, which I think is a severe limitation. But going forward, we'll try and find a way around that so we can both do this and chat shit about these fights. So Kutalaba's coming out now. Yeah, so yeah, the commentator just mentioned he was it European Sambo champion? That would mean more if he was a Russian Sambo champion or a Central Asian Sambo champion, but still, European Sambo champion is certainly something. Kutalaba is stupid as fuck. Yes. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a little unhinged. I mean, this is the guy that turned up to weigh-ins dressed like the Hulk, right? And he gets in your face, he gets really aggressive, and he even in the octagon before the fight, in your face just to try and scare you, to intimidate you. Yeah, I'm not sure he's the smartest knife in the drawer, but I kind of like that. It means he's unhinged. That makes him dangerous, you know. Some traditional Lezinka music. That's the dance of the Caucasus. Very good knowledge, Waleed / Alexander. Very good knowledge. Waleed, you've got like a freakish knowledge of all things Central Asian. Like it's bizarre. So yeah, I mean, Waleed, you can chime in on this in the comments. But I think the future of the UFC, it belongs to Central Asia. I think the former Soviet republics, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Georgia, plus Armenia. A really great history and tradition of fighting in these countries, and they're starting to come through now. I think Khabib has opened up some doors to that whole region, you know. Yeah, and all of that is sambo. What underpins that is sambo. Very high level wrestling, which includes submissions, and combat sambo includes striking as well. So that's a very good base. It's basically MMA. Combat sambo is MMA, which existed long before MMA kind of took hold globally in the 1990s. So these guys have got a very solid base for MMA. Russia versus Moldova. Yep. All right, here we go. And Clive is not a handsome man. To be fair, Kutalaba does look scary. That is a scary man. He's a scary dude. Yeah, Central Asia and the Caucasus and Russia. Yeah. That whole area of the map is providing some very sick talent in terms of MMA. It was Brazil, then it was America, and now it's probably Russia, Central Asia, the Caucasus. It used to be Brazil, but then USADA was invented, and they started testing all the Brazilians for steroids, and now most of them have disappeared. Yeah, so for this fight, look out for an explosive start for Kutalaba. Probably a flurry of strikes, might go for the takedown. Me and Waleed anticipate that Ankalaev will neutralize the intense attack of Kutalaba. Yeah, Kutalaba's looking pretty calm. Maybe he's got a slight change of mindset here, or a different game plan. Combat Sambo is a mixture of 5/6 Central Asian and Russian martial arts. They've both seen some shit. I'm sure they have. Yeah, these people are rough. I mean, these are not the easiest places to grow up in. Oof. So they're both pretty measured here. Looks like Ankalaev was expecting a different kind of game plan from Kutalaba, because he's going backwards, trying to draw Ankalaev in. Oof. Ankalaev caught Kutalaba there as Kutalaba was coming in. So Ankalaev is countering him. He's catching him as Kutalaba comes in. They're not the biggest shots, but he's catching him. My concern is that Ankalaev needs to be a little more active. Ankalaev is doing well. Yeah. It's not a whole lot's happening, man. Kutalaba's pushing the pace, but he's not throwing a whole lot. He's not going ape shit like he usually does. Oh, nice rear hand by Ankalaev. You can see what Ankalaev's game plan is here. He's anticipating. He was clearly training for a very, aggressive opponent, and trying to, be the matador to Kutalaba's bull. Yeah, but Kutalaba's basically following Ankalaev. Oh, fuck me. Ankalaev dropped him. Ankalaev dropped Kutalaba. Kutalaba's back to his feet. That's serious power. And now they're back into it. Yeah, man. Ankalaev's got power, man. That is... But, Kutalaba's back on his feet. Fair play. Oh, again! Oh, my God. Hey, fuck me, that is serious power. Oh, my God. So Kutalaba's done. Ankalaev has KO'd Kutalaba. Caught him with a counter left hook, I believe, although I'll have to see that again as Kutalaba was coming in. That's just a different level of striking there. That is Dagestan, fam. Dagestan. Oh, man. There we go. Levels, man. Excellent counter striking. Oh. Yeah, so he dropped him. Kutalaba gets back up. Oh. Kutalaba comes in again. Ankalaev kind of steps back, fadeaway check hook, drops him, follows up the ground and pound, and then he's done. I told you, bro. Baba Yaga, Kutalaba, stupid as fuck. Unsophisticated striking, shall we say. Yeah. Unsophisticated striking. So, yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, very good performance from Ankalaev. Like, that counter punching is on point. He landed those counter punches several times before the big ones landed. Yeah, very good indeed. So yeah, Waleed, yeah, we did pick him. We've picked Ankalaev several times, haven't we? It's finally happened. When is Khabib and Gaethje? Yeah, about 9 approximately, Harry. Yeah, Ankalaev's a beast. All right, who have we got next? Let's have a look. So far, all the bets, all of our predictions that me and Wally made are doing okay. I lost to Nathaniel Wood as an independent bet, but the comes are holding up so far. Looks like a caveman. He certainly does. Oh man, that counter punching is on point. Seriously. I mean, Kutalaba was struggling with the distance there. I mean, closing that gap was a challenge. But that's what happens when you just kind of follow your opponent. You know. So Ankalaev's beaten him twice now. All right, so the next fight up is a women's fight. We haven't researched this one basically because Waleed and I are not overly interested in women's MMA, mainly because the talent level is not particularly high. But if you're interested in women's MMA, I've got literally nothing to tell you about it. So bad luck. So I'm just going to sit here and drink my Campari spirits and wait for this fight to be over. But yeah, we've got Lauren Murphy, who doesn't... God, she looks rough, man. She looks old. Versus Lilia Shakirova. I know literally nothing about these women other than it's a women's flyweight bout. Lauren Murphy's got the better record at 13-4. Lilia Shakirova's 8-1. Yeah, literally nothing to say about this fight. Harry says, I don't have the pay-per-view, but this is just as good. Quick play-by-plays are where it's at. That's very kind, Harry. I hope Gaethje wins, but if it's Khabib, it just proves Khabib is a beast. Yeah, I kind of want Gaethje to win. Yeah, partly because I like the guy. He's an honest, hard-working guy, blue-collar guy. And it would shake up the lightweight division a bit. it gets a little bit boring when the champion is extremely dominant. Because we've seen that with John Jones. It just kind of, what's the word? Stagnated the lightweight division with John Jones just winning everything all the time. It makes things boring. Same thing with Demetrius Johnson just owning the flyweight division. It just makes things boring. There's no drama. There's no, you want competitive, close fights, to make this stuff interesting. But yeah, I think Gaethje can do it. I mean, I've put Khabib, me and Waleed have Khabib in the safe come. Because as Khabib, right, we know what Khabib does. He takes you down, he mauls you, he exhausts you, and he breaks your spirit. Khabib can do this. Sorry, Justin Gaethje can win. He's got the power to give him problems on the feet. The big question mark is the wrestling. I mean, Justin Gaethje does have the collegiate wrestling background. He was very good. I think it was Iowa University or Oklahoma. I can't remember. He was at a very good wrestling college, and he did very well. Not necessarily like amazing, but he did very well. He had a very solid, collegiate wrestling career. So it remains to be seen how he's going to deal with those takedowns. Can he stuff the takedowns? Can he create enough space in the scramble to get back up again? How is he going to do against the cage? Can he get back up again? If so, how long is it going to take? How much time will Khabib have on top? And can he? Yeah, the main thing for me comes down to when Khabib goes for the takedown, the scramble, the ensuing scramble. How does that look? Because that's the key thing. Because Gaethje does not want to stay on the ground with him. He's going to want to stuff the takedown, create enough space, and get the hell out of there. So that's key. And all of that is when Khabib takes you down, your ass hits the floor, or your hands hit the floor. What do you do in that split second? What do you do? How do you react? And that wrestling pedigree could come in very, very handy. And that could be the differentiator. And that could mean that Gaethje gets more time standing on the feet to land those big shots. And those low calf kicks, which are very fast, very snappy, and very hard. And I think if Gaethje can land something, Khabib may struggle with the power with which those shots land. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. So I think me and Wally gave this like 60-40 to Khabib. So I think Gaethje's got a chance. I think this could be the most difficult fight Khabib has had. Baba Yaga, do you stay live the whole card? I'm gonna have to go to dinner at some point. I may actually miss the main fight, but we'll see how it goes. All right, women's fight coming up. I'll try and find some nice things to say about this fight. It's a nice haircut Shakarova's got.
That is not a fucking woman. Apparently, this is the first woman from Uzbekistan in the UFC.
Christ. I was just waiting for the women's fight. If you've got some comments, questions, just leave them in the chat below. I wish I just cut to the fights, man. Honestly, we can do without this preamble. Instead of just talking about the fights, just show the fights. We don't need 15 minutes of build up. But yeah, actually, this woman's from Uzbekistan. As I was saying earlier, like the floodgates have opened from the stands. These countries in Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, plus other countries in the Caucasus. Georgia, and the Russian independent republics, which we kind of grouped together as one sort of region, really. Yeah, these guys are coming. Like these guys really are coming, and they're very good fighters. I mean, Lauren Murphy is 37 years old. Honestly, if I looked at her, I would say she was maybe closer to 50. I don't want to be mean, but she looks old. Um, to be fair, she's on a 3-fight win streak. She's beat Roxanne Modafferi, Andrea Lee, Mara Borella, lost to Sajara Eubanks before that. It's an okay record. I mean, to be fair to women's MMA, the standard has improved in recent years. If we go back a few years when Paige Van Zandt, was kind of leading the way, things have certainly improved since then. So her opponent, the Kazakh girl, Lilia Shakarova, she doesn't have a good record, to be honest. She's got several wins in, I want to say, Central Asian fighting championships, like Battle on Volga, WLF Wars. Hasn't beaten the best competition. So her last fight was against somebody who's 1-1. Then before that, 2-1. Then 5-0. Then lost to someone who's 4-4. There's not much experience here, and she's only beaten very low-level fighters with very poor records. I mean, Laura Murphy on paper is the big favorite here, but you never know. You never know. But again, this whole thing with COVID-19 and having to do all the fights in Fight Island, there's an absolute shortage of fighters. Like Dana White is trying to get fighters anywhere he can, especially because he's doing fights almost every week at the moment, which is a new thing for this year. This wasn't the case last year. Last year we had a fight maybe every month, or if we were lucky, maybe 2 a month in 2019. But now he's putting on fights every week. That means you need a huge pool of fighters. So he's drawing on fighters with very dodgy records from very questionable regional circuits, which is why we've ended up with some real mismatches here. And I suspect this is one such mismatch. I mean, Shakarova's last fight was against somebody who's 1-1. That says everything, I think. Just saw a comment describing this fight as Bruce Lee versus a crackhead. Alright, so Bruce Lee versus the crackhead. Here we go. Yes, obviously Shakarova is Bruce Lee. Murphy would be the crackhead. Well, that was awkward. Shakarova went for the fist bump. Lauren Murphy just ignored it. Christ almighty. I mean, they're so far apart. I mean, Shakarova is throwing leg kicks, even though, oh my god, throwing leg kicks and throwing punches, even though she's like literally 5 feet away. Like, you're just kicking and punching air. Waleed / Alexander says, for me benefit glorious nation of Uzbekistan. Absolutely. She's definitely done some meth. Looks like it. Yeah, so Lauren Murphy's pushing the pace. Bruce Lee is not doing a whole lot. Moving around a lot. Throwing punches, not landing anything because she's way out of range. Or Shakarova landed something there. That's something. Okay, so Shakarova's landing some kicks now. Okay. Now she's back against the cage. Oh, she's gone for the takedown, gone for the single leg. Oh, she's got it. Lauren Murphy's back up. All right, to be fair, I mean, Shakarova / Bruce Lee got a takedown there. But I don't know how the commentators find so much to say when nothing is happening. Well, I'd love to see the striking stats here because they're just not landing anything, just punching air. All right, so Bruce Lee has gone for another single leg. Lauren Murphy is defending on one leg. She's locked up the Kimura. Oh, landing some elbows on the temple of Shakarova, which seemed to impact Shakarova there for a second. So Shakarova's given up the takedown attempt. They're now sort of tied up in the clinch. Lauren Murphy getting the underhooks. Could see a takedown here from Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy throwing some knees. This is looking better. This is looking more like a fight. Okay, now they're separated. All right, so Lauren Murphy's probably won this round thanks to that exchange. If anyone's got something to say about this women's fight, let me know. Give me something to talk about. I mean, the standard here is not great. As we can see, there's not a whole lot going on. Also, Lauren Murphy is a better grappler. She's better in the clinch. Striking, nothing is happening for either fighter. It's just irrelevant. Lauren Murphy is 37. When you're fighting at flyweight, that's pretty old. Striking wise, they're just not engaging. Like, just kicking air, punching air. I mean, it's ridiculous. So Shakarova will throw a jab, completely misses by a foot. Lauren Murphy will counter the imaginary jab, again missing by a foot. It's ridiculous. And this is quote unquote elite level women's MMA. It's like punching air, then your opponent, it's ridiculous. So Lauren Murphy's controlling the octagon, pushing the pace, such as it is. Shakarova down, body locked into the ground. Lauren Murphy's now in Shakarova's guard, trying to land some strikes from top position, from a guard rather. Yeah, some ground and pound for Lauren Murphy. So this has probably won Lauren Murphy the second round as well. She's probably 2 rounds up now. Lauren Murphy trying to pass Bruce Lee's guard. Bruce Lee spinning around, exposing her back. Lauren Murphy's taking the back. Oh, rear naked choke attempt from Lauren Murphy. Here we go. This could end the fight pretty quickly. Bruce Lee trying to defend the hands, but that is sunk in. That's done. Shakarova is submitted by Lauren Murphy. Second round. To be fair, she's got a decent submission game there. Decent ground game. All right. Yeah, that's some decent jiu-jitsu from Lauren Murphy. Striking, not so much. All right, so the next fight is Jacob Malkoun versus Philip Paws. Philip Paws comes through the contender series, very green, even green as Jacob Malkoun. He's only 4-0. Jacob Malkoun's got decent technical boxing in the fights that I've seen, but when you're fighting guys who are, like 2-0 and 1-0 and 3-1, yeah, it's very easy to look very good against very inexperienced people. So we can't give that too much credit. This is a very relatively low-level fight. Jacob Malkoun does train with Robert Whittaker. I believe he'll be in his corner. So that's a big thing. Obviously, he trains at a really good gym with Robert Whittaker, so that's something. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But again, this is just indicative of like the lack of depth of a talent pool, with very unexperienced fighters coming through, being given their opportunity, simply because Dana White needs fighters desperately. This would never have happened in previous years. Never. A guy who's 4-0, this would never have happened before. So Laura Murphy's saying that she's well-rounded. That is not true at all. She's got decent jiu-jitsu from what I've seen. Her striking is very poor. Admittedly, it's very difficult to land strikes when your opponent is literally 6 feet away and throwing strikes from 6 feet away and is refusing to engage. But the striking from Lauren Murphy was not good. Like, she's not a well-rounded fighter. All right, we'll be back after this. All right, we're back. Grapplefuck Media, Grapplefuck Fight Picks, live streaming Khabib versus Gaethje. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first time we've ever done this. Ideally, we would do this with Waleed, who I co-host the podcast with, and we do the fight predictions together. Unfortunately, we can only do one person at a time doing this. So for me, it's today it's just me, I'm afraid. But going forward, we'll do this together. We'll hook up in the same place, and we'll do this live stream together, which should be entertaining. So far, our fight picks, we haven't done many fight picks this week for this card, to just work schedules and just lack of time. Because researching these fights takes a good hour and a half, just researching the fights, even if we know the fighters, and then we've got to do the podcast itself, upload the thing, and all that stuff. So it all takes time, I'm afraid. But so far for our fight picks this week, I think we're spot on. We predicted that Ankalaev would beat Kutalaba. Who else did we get? Let me have a look. Yeah, we predicted that newcomer Shavkat Rakhmonov, former M1 champion, would beat Alex Oliveira, so we got that one right. I made a personal bet. We didn't do a podcast on this, but I bet on Nathaniel Wood to beat Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny won, though Nathaniel Wood outstruck Casey Kenny in every single round, I believe. That's probably a bad judge's decision. But given the optics of that fight, bearing in mind that the striking data can look very different to what you're seeing, I do understand why Casey Kenny got that fight. So yeah, officially we're 2 for 2. The other fights we're betting on are Khabib to beat Gaethje, Volkov to beat Walt Harris, and that's it. There's not a whole lot in terms of betting opportunities here for this card. Just I think some of these fights are pretty close. They're either very close or they're fairly low-level fights. And with low-level fights with relative newcomers or complete newcomers, it's very difficult to find an edge, you know? Yeah, we didn't bet on Whittaker versus Cannonier. I think that's an extremely close fight. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how that goes. So yeah, Anderson Silva's coming back. I wonder what you guys think about this. Anderson Silva next week is fighting Uriah Hall. Anderson Silva, I believe, is 44. Obviously, he's not the legend that we once knew, a decade ago, who was just, dancing in the octagon. Just so elegantly slipping out the way of his opponent's punches and just finding ways to land on you. It was what he did when he was champion was magical. Absolutely magical. Obviously now at the age of 44, he's not the same guy. Just curious to know what you guys think about him still fighting at that age when he obviously peaked a very long time ago. My personal view is I think great, why not? If he wants to fight and he's getting paid, then why not? Keep doing it. His reactions are gone. I think his big advantage was just seeing things. It was his reflexes and seeing the punches, getting out the way, and then just landing on you when you had no idea, right? I think those reflexes have slowed down, as you'd expect, but his kicks are really fast. I think he's still got the potential to be at least semi-competitive against guys like Uriah Hall. Certainly against unranked guys. But right now, if you're watching the UFC stream, they're showing Anderson Silva's highlights from literally 10 years ago, where he looks magical. That's not what he is now at all. Yeah, so apparently, yeah, this is Anderson Silva's retirement fight. Makes sense, obviously. Spectral, how much time until Khabib starts? We're looking probably about an hour, 55 minutes, approximately. Baba Yaga, there you are. We got a new Anderson Silva, the Starbender. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Similar styles, both kickboxers. They're both kind of see punches coming. They both get out the way. They're both difficult to hit. Though I'd say Starbender is actually easier to hit than Anderson Silva. I would say Anderson Silva was a once in a generation talent. I mean, he was amazing. Even when he lost to guys like Michael Bisping, you could see that he was just a better fighter. He didn't necessarily bring it on the night, but you could just see he was the better fighter. Um, there's just something you can't quite describe about him. But yes, I do like Izzy as well. Izzy is very good. I mean, the extremely high level kickboxing, extremely high level. Waleed hates Israel Adesanya. I don't know why. Just hates him. Yeah. So yeah, next week, Anderson Silva versus Uriah Hall. I think it's a competitive fight. You probably have to give it to Uriah Hall because he's the younger man. He's still relatively in his prime. But the problem with Uriah Hall is, I think Uriah Hall was a major prospect back in the day. You go back a few years ago. I think he won the Ultimate Fighter. There's a lot of hype surrounding him. He's got great kicks. He fights great at range. A beautiful jab. He's naturally very gifted. Um, but there's some things that he just doesn't do right. I think he doesn't quite have the fight IQ of other fighters, so he allows him to just stand in the pocket and get hit, whereas he could just stand on the outside and just pop people with that beautiful jab. He's got good kicks. It just hasn't quite lived up to his potential, I don't think, which is a shame. So I anticipate that to be a competitive fight, but you probably have to give it to Uriah Hall. Oh, so we've got Jacob Malkoun versus Philip Halls, two newcomers essentially. I know Philip Halls has some experience in the UFC, at least on the Contender Series. They're both very, very green fighters. Man, Philip Halls has serious power. Yeah, serious power. So Philip Hawes is 31. This is his debut fight. I mean, it's not too old, but it's pretty old. Yeah, he's got a lot of first round finishes. He's got a submission on his record, a doctor's stoppage. I mean, what is he? He's 8-2. Though actually 8-2 in MMA. Yeah, so the issue with Jacob Malkoun, yeah, great. He trains with Robert Whittaker. Great camp there, fantastic. He looks to have decent technical boxing, very crisp. But the people he's faced, for example, 3-1, 8-4, 5-4, 1-0. You know, those are all his fights. That's not great at all. And to go from that, fighting in very low level regional circuits in Australia, to the main card in the UFC is crazy. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the comments you make on the podcast predictions as well. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Where are you from, Jay? Philip Hawes is a unit. He's very good physique. Jacob Malkoun is 5'9", which for middleweight is small. That is small. He's not that big either. Australia, cool. So you're for Malkoun then, I guess. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God, that is ridiculous. Jesus, this is why you don't let 4-0 people into UFC. Philip Hawes just KO'd him in literally 10, 15 seconds. My God. This is why you don't let guys who are 4-0 into the UFC. This is why. This is why. Man. That is not what he, that is, I feel bad for Malkoun. Oh my God. So yeah, in that combination, one of those shots from Hawes landed behind the ear, unbalanced him, and then Hawes just lands a whole load of big shots and knocks him out. That is insane. That is insane. I feel so bad for guys who, they have their big moment like that. Jay says, "Lol, what a disaster on a card like this." Yeah, for sure, for sure. I feel so bad. Like guys who they train so hard, they get their golden opportunity, and the whole world is watching, and you get finished in 10 seconds. You didn't even throw a punch. I feel bad. But then again, guy, you can't put a guy who's 4-0. I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight. I wasn't saying this before the fight. But, in hindsight, it's very easy to say, yeah, you can't put a guy who's 4-0 into the UFC against a guy who's got, 10 fights, Jay says, how does a guy who's 4-0 get on a card of this magnitude? Exactly. I don't know. I think it's just complete lack of talent at the moment. When you got the global pandemic is happening, fighters cannot travel internationally. You're doing fights on an island, and you're putting on shows every single week. Dana White is just desperate for fighters, absolutely desperate for fighters. And given that Robert Whittaker trains with this guy, he probably thought, okay, let's give this guy a chance. But, man. But yeah, exactly. A card of this magnitude, Jay, this is a huge card. For sure. That's crazy. That is crazy. But yeah, can you imagine how Malkoun feels right now? Once he figures out what's actually happened and how quickly he got knocked out. He travelled all this way. He has to travel all the way back. He's probably not going to be invited back to another UFC fight. That's it. To be fair, he may be better than that. If he gets grazed on the temple like that, behind the ear, you lose your balance. If we ran this fight 10 more times, how often would that happen? You never know. Maybe this isn't an accurate representation of Malkoun's ability. But Phil Hall's looked good. Very explosive, very fast. Oof. Oh man, that's nuts. That is nuts. Yeah, that's serious power. Some guys just have crazy power. Phil Hall is one of them. All right, so yeah, next up we've got Volkov versus Harris. We've got Volkov in the come. Volkov is technically the better guy, volume, which is fantastic, so he can win decisions. He's got a kickboxing and karate base. Now, karate is fucking shit, unless you do it in Russia. And Volkov has really nice, it's difficult to describe, very quick karate kicks, very nimble front leg. He'll flick it up and hit you in the face with it. Like kind of how karate is meant to be done. Really good karate kicks. Now he'll actually counter punches and kicks with kicks, which is really nice. I haven't seen that before. So it's very different. He does have pop in his hands. He's not a KO artist, but he does have pop on those hands. So he does have finishes via strikes. He's the much taller guy, much longer reach. So I anticipate Volkov just popping Walt Harris off at range, throwing kicks, and just landing a whole lot. The danger for Volkov is Walt Harris's power. I mean, when Walt Harris wins fights, he looks phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. Like he will close the distance He will land, and he's got mega power. If he lands clean, you're getting knocked out. There's an explosivity there that is very, very unusual. So if he lands on you, yeah, you're getting knocked out. The downside is he's only got 5 minutes to do that. Because the cost of that explosivity is lack of cardio. After the first round, he just fades. So it's not even the first round. We're probably looking like the first 3 minutes in order for Walt Harris to be effective against a guy like Volkov. And for that reason, Volkov is in our accumulator. But I do like Walt Harris. I mean, a guy who's that explosive can knock out a lot of people. But I don't think Volkov is going to stand in range to be knocked out. I think Volkov is too smart for that. And against a longer guy, Walt Harris is going to have difficulty covering that distance. So this is not the best matchup for Walt Harris. If Walt Harris was up against somebody who likes to stand in the pocket and bang, yeah, Walt Harris has got a very good chance. But Volkov, that's not his style. He's not going to be lulled into that kind of game. He's too smart for that, I think. Yeah, breaking yesterday, Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev. So yesterday was it yesterday or the day before? Either way, the big news of this week was Leon Edwards being dropped from the ranking. So he was ranked number 3 or something, and he was dropped, presumably because Dana White wanted to punish him or make a point. Presumably that came on the back of Leon Edwards just turning down fights. Bear in mind, he hasn't had a fight for nearly 2 years, and he could have done. Leon Edwards is in England, and he could easily have come to Fight Island in Abu Dhabi at any point, just as many British fighters have done. Leon Edwards hasn't done that, so clearly he's avoiding fights. And my understanding is that Dana White is getting very annoyed with that, and his point of view is, well, if you don't take fights, we're legally obliged to offer you fights, a certain amount of fights a year. If you don't take them, then our obligation to you is completed. And if you're not fighting, then why are you ranked? So I think he was making a point there, and then somehow he got a fight with Khamzat Chimaev. And I can only assume that he's been pressured or forced into that situation, because who wants to fight Khamzat Chimaev? It's a case of you've got a very serious up-and-comer who looks very dangerous and could beat an awful lot of people. So it's a lot of risk for not a whole lot of reward, because Chimaev isn't ranked. Leon Edwards is not going to gain anything by beating him. So it's basically a lose scenario. So I'm thinking he's in a very tricky situation in order to have to accept this fight. Of course, he wanted the title shots. Then he wanted Tyron Wood. Oh no, he was scheduled to fight Tyron Wood earlier in the year. COVID ruined that plan. Then he wanted the title shot, and he's basically been sidelined. I think Dana White has favoured other fighters over him, probably for monetary reasons. So Leon Edwards has been left out in the cold and probably been turning down the fights that he's been offered. He's probably been given a couple of top 10 fights, and he's turned them down. So here we are. He's fighting Khamzat Chimaev. Leon Edwards is only a slight favourite. I think Leon Edwards should be a big favourite. Leon Edwards is a legitimately elite level fighter. So I'm slightly, and I think that betting line will change as the smart money comes in and backs Edwards. I think there's an awful lot of hype, as we know, about surrounding Khamzat Chimaev. Not necessarily all of it is warranted, because we don't know, because beating two British guys without grappling doesn't really tell us how good he really is. Of course, knocking out Gerald Meerschaert is great. It means that he's got good striking and real KO power. But again, we didn't see that grappling from Khamzat Chimaev. And that whole fight with Gerald Meerschaert was to showcase his. That was an opportunity to see how good he is on the ground against another decent grappler. We still don't know. So yeah, there's a lot of hype around Khamzat Chimaev. Some of it is justified for sure. All of it, probably not. So I think Leon Edwards is probably the favourite going into this fight. Guys, here we go. Volkov versus Harris. Let's do this. Safe come. But the reason we didn't put Volkov in the safe come is because Walt Harris does have legit explosive KO power. In the first round, he is dangerous. Walt Harris is good. Like, he is good. At least on the feet. So I'm anticipating Volkov picking off Walt Harris from distance. A lot of punches, a lot of strikes, a lot of kicks. Some interesting karate kicks. And just maintaining distance as best he can. This is going to be a good one. I mean, just looking at Walt Harris, he's such a big, strong guy. I mean, just naturally strong. This guy could do no weights in his life, and he'd just be ridiculously strong. I mean, those shoulders, the back, it's crazy. Okay, here we go. Oof. Volkov kind of exchanging there in close quarters. I wasn't expecting that. I don't want to see Volkov in big exchanges in the pocket. I do not want to see that. That's not where he does his best work. And that's where Walt Harris is just ridiculously dangerous. I want to see Volkov maintain that distance, pump the jab, throw the kicks. I don't want to see a fight in a phone booth here. Oh, Volkov landing there. Oh, nice kick there from Volkov. Front kick. Well, Volkov landing a nice combination there. That gets Walt Harris going backwards. Not seeing that much of the explosivity from Walt Harris. Volkov definitely pushing the pace. He's dictating where this fight is going. He's pushing Walt Harris back. But that's an opportunity for Walt Harris. If Volkov is coming forward, Walt Harris has an opportunity just to really explode on him. Because he's in range. Like, Volkov is in Walt Harris's range. Oh, nice slip from Volkov there, and a counter combination. Yeah, Volkov has got the advantage of volume. He just throws a lot, typically, and will throw combinations. Yeah, Harris landed there, but not clean. Nice front kick up the middle from Volkov. Oof. Okay, so we're 3 minutes in. Walt Harris's prime opportunity to end this fight is gone, basically. He's taking some shots. He's throwing some shots. Oh my God, that was a beautiful inside leg kick from Volkov. Really put Walt Harris off balance. That was hard. Yeah, so the longer this fight goes on, Walt Harris has less chance of winning, basically. His energy bar is draining. Oof. Yeah, so we're 4 minutes in. Walt Harris hasn't landed that killer shot. He hasn't landed a really big shot. He hasn't phased Volkov whatsoever. And it's only getting worse for him from this point on. Oh, Volkov stunned him. Volkov has stunned him. Harris is wobbled. Harris is turtling up. He's covering up. Now he's firing back. But he was hurt, man. He was hurt, but now he's firing back. And now he's exhausted. After taking those shots and exploding with those shots like that, Walt Harris is tired. Volkov is pushing him around the octagon now. Walt Harris is trying to find his breath. Oh my God, Walt Harris is just covering up. Just covering up like this. No. Okay, so Walt Harris breathing pretty heavily, I think. So, I mean, I don't want to, count Walt Harris out. Anything can happen at heavyweight, but the first round was his opportunity to end it. And he didn't land any big, clean shots there. So, yeah, I think this is Volkov's fight. Actually, I think Volkov actually gets better as he goes on. Volkov does really well in 5-round fights. He's got the cardio, he's got the volume, and he can just keep going for 5 rounds. Oh, to be fair, Walt Harris did land a big shot there, to be fair to him. But yeah, the big moments were for Volkov. There was some big action there. Stunned him with a right hand, got him against the cage, landed quite a lot of shots against the cage. And then Walt Harris fired back with his own shots. But that round definitely goes to Volkov, 100%. Volkov, Russia. Alexander /Waleed says Volkov, Russia. Yeah, Volkov is definitely the better fighter here, 100%. He should get a point deducted for that god-awful tattoo on his back. I mean, what the fuck was he thinking? I mean, who gets a tattoo like that on their back? Like, who? Like, why? Walt Harris goes for the takedown, stuffed pretty easily by Volkov. If Walt Harris is going for the takedown, given he's not a wrestler, I think he's pretty desperate. I think he's having a very difficult time on the ground if he wants to take it to the ground. Volkov just landed a nice straight right there that gets Walt Harris going backwards. Haven't seen any of the cool karate kicks from Volkov yet. As you may know, karate used to be legit back in the day until the Americans kind of oh my God. Front kick to that was fantastic. Front kick to the stomach by Volkov to the midsection of Harris. Winded him. I don't know. Walt Harris doubles over, follows up with shots, and now TKO. Volkov has TKO'd Harris. Walt Harris is writhing in pain on the ground. due to that front kick to the midsection. Fantastic. Yeah, Volkov is the real deal. Volkov is a very, very good fighter. Very good indeed. Very smart fighter. He understands distance, I think. He understands his strengths, his weaknesses. Comes in with a decent game plan. Oh, just seeing the replay there, he kicked a front kick to, I think, to the solar plexus of Walt Harris. Digging that foot right into the solar plexus of Walt Harris. Walt Harris falls to the ground, falls to his knees, and has had enough. And Volkov follows up with strikes to the head, and that's it. All right, so we run our risky cum. Not many fights in that, just 2 fights in our risky cum. Walt Harris plus Shavkat. Made quite a nice amount on that because the odds were decent for Shavkat. Yeah, good stuff. Pretty straightforward in both fights for the risky cum. Yeah, Volkov is the real deal. He is the real deal. Yeah, those front kicks up the middle. Alex Oliveira does those as well. It's a very good weapon. If you can do those hard and fast, those are a very good weapon. You just knock the wind out of your opponent. Very good indeed. Good stuff. Jay says, haha, absolutely. Yeah, good victory from Volkov. Alexander /Waleed. Just FYI for the 3 people watching this live stream, Alexander's name is Waleed. He loves Alexander the Great, so that's his YouTube name. Alexander /Waleed says, Russia with no love. Absolutely. Yeah, so Volkov is number 7. He just beat Walt Harris, who's number 10. The rankings aren't going to move based on this victory, but he has just dispensed up another top 10 fighter, which is never a bad thing. So above him are Junior Dos Santos, Alistair Overeem, Derek Lewis, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Curtis Blaydes, and Francis Ngannou. Then, of course, the champion, Stipe Miocic. I think Volkov is on his way to reinsert himself into title contendership. Let me look at his record, because he is a really good fighter. He got unlucky against Derek Lewis, I believe. JDS, Dos Santos, is probably on his way out, I believe. Augusto Sakai is number 8, so that's not really relevant. Overeem is probably on his way out, if we're being honest. He's in his 40s now. Derek Lewis has probably hit his ceiling. I don't think he's going anywhere. Rozenstruik probably shouldn't be number 3, if we're being honest. I think Volkov could beat Rozenstruik. Curtis Blaydes at number 2 is good. Ngannou obviously is a monster. But yeah, I think Volkov should be top 4, I believe. Jay says, yeah, karate used to be legit until the Americans began to turn schools into shopping mall puppy mills for parents placing their kids in, with belts becoming attainable through financial incentive. I could not agree. That is the perfect description of what happened. Yeah, so karate, as you said, Jay, karate schools appearing in shopping malls next to a McDonald's, with people who didn't know karate at all, taught a very watered-down version of it, never did any sparring, no proper contact sparring, and they just turned it into a joke, basically. Like, really, a complete joke. But if you're Volkov doing it in Russia, full contact, it's a different thing. It really is a different thing. Jay says Volkov looked brilliant tonight. He did. He looked very, very good. Yeah, very good indeed. I agree. So yeah, absolutely. Karate used to be legit. Well, 100%. But it's the same. I mean, when I was just to give you an insight into how martial arts are turned into mainstream shopping mall bullshit. When I was 7 years old, I was a purple belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu, right? Which obviously means nothing. It's garbage. Your parents leave you there for an hour. You just kind of mess around, and every now and again, you do a grading day where your parents pay 50 quid or something, and at the end of it, regardless of what you actually do during the session, you end up with a new belt. Like it's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. So that's a degradation. Definitely happened to karate. It kind of happened to Japanese jiu-jitsu quite a bit. Although in the UK, at least, Japanese jiu-jitsu in some places was legit. That's what Michael Bisping learnt when he was a teenager, and he certainly benefited from that. But in a lot of cases, it just turned into garbage. I mean, I met a guy who used to be an instructor in Japanese jiu-jitsu, and he was telling me about like death grips, like pressure points, and all this stuff. Like moronic, absolutely moronic, absolutely moronic. And I was telling him about what I was learning in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he had no idea what I was talking about. Absolutely moronic. So yeah, a rant over. Yeah, talking of karate though, a great film on Netflix, a great series on Netflix is Cobra Kai. Obviously, karate in the US is bullshit, and the Karate Kid has no bearing on real fighting. But Cobra Kai is a really fun film, really fun series on Netflix. Jay says that's wild, man. Death grips sounds like something you would read in a fictional '80s martial art. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's bullshit. This guy was a moron. Yep. But some people really think this stuff works. Like there's some like karate instructors who've never been in a real fight who genuinely think they know how to fight. It's bizarre. We don't have so much of that in the UK. It's more of an American thing, I think. Because in the UK we do have like a decent grounding in fighting with boxing. We've got a very strong tradition with boxing. So at least we kind of know what real fighting is. All right, let's see what John Anik and DC are saying. What's up next? Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. So Jay, I guess you're rooting for Robert Whittaker here. He's your boy. I guess Robert Whittaker is definitely the better fighter. The definitely better all round MMA fighter. But Jared Cannonier's power is scary. So Israel Adesanya has described Jared Cannonier as a dark horse. I don't know whether that's because he actually thinks of whether he actually thinks Cannonier is a dark horse and a real low key talent, or whether he's just trying to hype up his next opponent just in case he has to fight him. Because Israel Adesanya as champion has to kind of build these fights, and he doesn't want the media and the fans to think that he's having easy fights. So I suspect maybe Israel Adesanya is trying to hype up these guys, to sell future fights. But that said, still, Cannonier is decent. I mean, there's serious power. I mean, this guy beat guys at heavyweight, which is insane, absolutely insane. Yeah, it's interesting. Israel Adesanya seems to think that Jared Cannonier will beat Whittaker. I wonder if he thinks Whittaker is kind of washed up. Because typically, when you're a champion and then you lose the belt, it typically signifies a very precipitous or at least a steady decline. Because it's very rare that a champion will lose the belt and then get it back. Stipe did it. It's very unusual. So I wonder if Israel Adesanya is thinking Cannonier will walk through Whittaker. I don't think that's the case. I think, yeah, Whittaker lost the belt fair and square. But his performance against Darren Till, he was easily the better fighter. I think it was a competitive match, but he was easily the better MMA fighter that night. So I think he's still got it. This isn't like Tyron Woodley, who's just completely lost it. I think Whittaker is very dangerous. I think he'll be if he wants to stay in the UFC, he could be top 3, top 5, probably for a very long time. I know this is discussed a lot, but do you think Israel could move up and beat John Jones? I think Israel Adesanya is the better striker. He's a better striker than John Jones. The issue is size. Now they're both the same height, 6'4", similar reach, I think. But John Jones is the bigger man. And that's difficult to overcome. Technically, there's nothing special about John Jones' striking, but he avoids getting hit, and he just throws lots of wild stuff. He keeps you guessing. Whether it's elbows, knees, kicks, strikes, combinations, single shots, oblique kicks. There's just a lot of things that keep you occupied, and when you combine that with the threat of takedowns, it's an awful lot to deal with. To be honest, Jay, I've actually got no idea. Israel Adesanya has very good takedown defense, but then John Jones is an excellent wrestler and he's bigger and stronger. So I don't know whether it would go to the ground or not. I suspect on the feet, Israel Adesanya would beat John Jones. One thing you've got to remember is that even though John Jones is hyper dominant at light heavyweight, bear in mind that the talent pool is smaller. There aren't so many guys who are 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", 6'2" at that weight. So there are fewer decent guys at light heavyweight than there are at middleweight. So being a champion at middleweight means more than being a champion at light heavyweight. So it stands to reason that, according to that theory, it stands to reason that Israel Adesanya is better, technically better than John Jones. Perhaps. If it's a striking battle and Israel can stuff the takedowns, I think Israel would win that fight against John Jones. Jay says, yeah, Bobby had all that stuff going on with his daughter. What stuff was that? I don't think I heard about that. Tyron Woodley was doing rap videos and selling cereal boxes or whatever. I mean, my theory about Tyron Woodley is that he just doesn't want to fight anymore. Either that or his reflexes have gone. Because if you look at his fights, he doesn't do anything. Like he almost literally does nothing. So he either doesn't want to be there and he's psychologically checked out. And as you said, he's more focused on doing the rap videos or working in media on TMZ. Either that, and he just doesn't want to fight, or he's lost his reflexes. There's got to be a reason why he's not throwing. Because in those fights against Usman, Colby, and Gilbert Burns, he hasn't done anything. He didn't do anything. He was never like the greatest volume striker or anything. But he just hasn't been doing anything in his fight. So there's something wrong there. Either his focus is elsewhere, he doesn't want to be there, and he's telling himself that he does want to be there, and he's lying to himself, or those reflexes have gone. Because at a certain point, it could be in your late 30s, could be in your 40s, your reflexes go. Like you just slow down. That's a fact of life. And I suspect that's what's happened to Tyron Woodley. But yeah, let me know what what happened with Whitaker's daughter. I'll be curious about that. Yeah, Whitaker's still dangerous for sure. He's still dangerous. I don't think he'll beat Adesanya, but he's still dangerous. I just think Adesanya is too good on the feet. He's too big. He's too long. I don't know what kind of style beats Adesanya, to be honest. I don't know what that skill set is that you need to beat Adesanya. I don't know what it is.
Andrew, try and sound less posh on the. I know actually, be as posh as possible. The Americans will love it.
Well, so Wally's told me to both sound less posh and as posh as possible to appeal to the American audience. So thank you for that. Excellent advice, Walid. I know I sound posh compared to you, Walid. Compared to other people, I don't know. All right, here we go. Cannonier's a weird one. I mean, he's a weird guy. At this point, I'm kind of wishing I put a bet on Whitaker. The more I think about it, the more I think he wins. But the reason I didn't was because I was wary of Cannonier's power. Like, it's serious, serious power. All right, here we go. Nice leg kick from Cannonier. Whitaker in that kind of almost a karate kind of stance, or a taekwondo kind of stance, which is quite nice. Oh, oh my god! So Cannonier landed a nice calf kick, dropped Whitaker, then follows up with another kick, then falls over himself. Nice body kick from Robert Whitaker. Sometimes Cannonier needs some time to kind of wake up. Yeah, another kick from Whitaker. Where Whitaker's striking is a lot more sophisticated. You know, with the feints, the counters. But Cannonier's got some, he's firing off some really nice calf kicks there. Oof. Cannonier again with those calf kicks. Those are going to add up. Yeah, one of the problems in our fight prediction video with Waleed, one of Whittaker's problems is that he's very heavy on that front leg, which means that when you get hit with a calf kick, those really hurt. It's very difficult to check a kick when you're leaning heavily on that front leg. That could be a problem. Yeah, so if Whittaker wins this, he's probably going to get the another title shot. If Cannonier wins, then he's getting the title shot. I wonder what Whittaker's trying to do with that jab. He's probably trying to elicit a counter from Cannonier, but Cannonier is just not countering. Cannonier is not throwing any punches at all. So at this point, well, I'm sure Whittaker wants him to counter, so Whittaker can counter his counter. But if Cannonier's not firing back, then he's just racking up points. He's landing that jab and racking up a nice strike count. Cannonier looks a bit cautious here. Yeah, Whittaker is very obviously trying to elicit a response from Cannonier. Cannonier is not biting. So Whittaker is outlanding Cannonier here, for sure. Nice kicks from Cannonier, but it's not enough to win that round. First round to Whittaker, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, oh man. Cannonier's leg kicks, it's not to the calf, it's to the knee. To the outside of the knee. Those are heavy. Those are buckling Whittaker. If he keeps throwing those could render Whittaker immobile. That said, Cannonier's lost that first round, I believe. Seems like Cannonier is just looking for an opening to land that big rear hand. I don't think Whittaker's going to give him that opening. Whittaker's game plan here is very smart. He's being careful. He's just jabbing Cannonier, trying to get that response from him. Occasionally, following up with combinations like that. Yeah, so Whittaker's outlanded Cannonier by a fair margin. Yeah, that jab is doing it for Whittaker. Just popping that jab. And if Cannonier doesn't want to counter that jab, then, maul him. Yeah, Cannonier's kicks are good, but I mean, it looks like he's waiting for an opening that's not going to come. Cannonier's going to have to close the distance and just engage and swing. He's not going to win a technical striking battle with Whittaker. It's just not going to happen. I like that karate stance or taekwondo stance from Whittaker. Very bouncy. Gives you a lot of forward. Oh, yeah, exactly like that. Gives you a lot of forward momentum. Can hide that. Can hide that jab. Gives you a very explosive entry. So I would say at this point, Whittaker's winning the second round on points. We just haven't seen anything from Cannonier. Cannonier needs to do something different because he's not winning this fight. Yeah, Whittaker is just popping that jab. I'm not sure what Cannonier's game plan here is. What's his game plan? It doesn't look like he's got one. What did he think was going to happen here? Cannonier is not countering at all. Countering would play into Whittaker's game plan, but he's got to counter those shots. You can't just cover up and slip, and then slip without countering. It's going for the takedown. Whittaker's got the takedown. Body lock, dragged him to the ground. Cannonier gets up. Cannonier is a very, very strong guy. In the past, we've seen Whittaker sort of come forward, head forward, and just swing and close the gap. He's not doing that here. I think he's got a very healthy respect for Cannonier's power. He's got a different game plan here. So yeah, I mean, Whittaker's he's throwing a lot of feints, just trying to get Cannonier to react somehow. So then follow up and anticipate his counter. But Cannonier's just not biting. Well, I've got to go. Unfortunately. I think we're 2 rounds up for Cannonier. If I've got time, I'll be back later. Or Jay, what are you saying? Just want to apologise if the Groza Bob and his daughter comment turns out it's false. So Bloody Albert making false news, apparently. Fake news. Yeah, but Dana White hates Bloody Elbow. Yeah, I think they publish a lot of fake news. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I've got to go for reasons I'll explain later. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Check out the fight predictions me and Wally do on Grapple Fuck Media, Grapple Fuck Fight Predictions. Really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate it.